well, a few days. And so now it is official. While I'm still getting used to the streaming software, please comment if you're on so that I can just make sure that it's all working. In the meantime, I'm going to do a little bit of, I guess you'd call it housekeeping, update. So I have been, I like to say that is it like, whatever. I am now telling the truth that I'm not just a business coach. I'm a life and business coach for high performers. So, when I release this information, I shared that what I'm doing with the pricing as I'm releasing it is ladder pricing for a couple of reasons. I like growing quickly. I do best when I grow quickly, and I am not doing anything group right now. I'm only doing one-on-one. So, which is funny because most people in the online space want to get away from one-on-one work. I'd actually never done it. So when I started with the very first things that I was selling personally, right? I did spend years behind the scenes of our own agency. I now have a child come swim. Right, hey, freeze. Look it, I'm live.
I don't want to read a book
Rylan, look at me. Okay, you can have hugs instead. Everybody out. Thank you. The door is now locked. I don't want to read a book of all the things. Okay, so anyway, a lot of people don't want to do one-on-one work because it maxes you out. I'm sure there's a ton of other reasons why people don't want to do one-on-one work. But I just thought that it was not the thing to do, so I didn't start with it. However, by November, all of our mastermind clients, by November, all of them will be one-on-one. So I've started making that shift. I legitimately love it. However, the one reason why people don't tend to love it is that it can max out your income, except not if you just keep raising your price. Now, obviously, your pricing can be you can decide your pricing on any number of ways, right? Any number of ways. But regardless, what I'm doing is I'm starting with 3-month agreements. And for each 2 spots that are taken, the price goes up. So my price has just gone up. So if you do want to work with me, if this is something that you have been thinking about, you won't regret starting with me while the price is lower. So and I don't know that I'm going to be doing any big launch. I am doing a masterclass, which I will release the info on coming up, but somewhere between October 5th and 8th. Yeah, I'm waiting to release that information. But I wouldn't be surprised if I'm either slowing down on selling or not selling by then. Anyway. Yay, comments. Okay, sound is working. So that's the housekeeping bit. That my price has just gone up, and if you would like a one-on-one spot with me, please message me ASAP, or wait and pay more later. Okay, that concludes my very ferocious hard sell. Now here's what we're talking about. Over my time within the online space, I think this is true for most of us. I've definitely been susceptible for shame marketing. And this is different than fear-based marketing. This isn't FOMO. This isn't if you don't do this, this won't work. This is if you don't do these things, maybe your business will break. So many decisions in business are made because I'm like, how do I discuss this? I mean, here, I'll just spit it out. The people that I have seen over the years that are really pushing on the idea of systems, and this isn't one person in general. This is across the board. The people that are really on the systems and the back end and the shoulds and all of these things, people end up investing pretty heavily in their business before they need it because of the fear of what happens if you don't do it. Or very similarly, people will hit, and this is actually something that happened to us, you'll hit a level and the fear comes in of, can I sustain this, right? Especially if people that are more numbers oriented, if you allow them to start looking at or poking in your business, which Jonathan and I did do because we don't have this business background, right? We don't have a business background. So when it came down to it, and and our numbers. And I literally said to someone, I was like, I don't know, I guess our business is magical. And I know that sounds absurd, but I meant it completely seriously, because within 6 months of our first sales, so the first month that I started selling my own stuff, and now I also like to give the backstory, it took 6 months before I got up the courage to sell. But once I sold, I did 7.5 grand. Never done lower than that. Within like 4 months, we did 40 grand. This is cash, not booked, right? So we did 40 grand. That 40 grand came from a grand total of 4 posts and 1 live video. So when that happens, that doesn't make any sense. It's not logical, right? It's just magical or aligned or however you want to look at it. But when you do that, unless you have full confidence in your ability or the universe or God's ability to help you create that again, you're really susceptible to shame-based marketing. So you're susceptible to, oh, well, what are your numbers? How did this happen, right? And then you look at the numbers and the numbers don't check out. So if you're susceptible, then it's suddenly like, oh, okay, well, I guess I need to add structures and systems. I can tell you that structures and systems and I'm not talking tech, right? We love tech, but structure and systems have never had any correlation to more income for us, ever. Actually, it's the reverse. The more things that we do in our business, the busier we are, the less money we make. Just across the board. And I have examples of this, not just for myself, but for clients, for other people, whether you believe in energetics. It doesn't matter how you believe in it. It's just that this is shown true repeatedly. I know that when I'm working with clients, the clients that are like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? That I can give you to-dos, but that's not the thing that generates the revenue, generates the results. It's more about putting the structures, and I'm talking belief structures, business structures, brand messaging structures, so you know what you're saying, whether that's your social profiles, the strategies you're using to invite people into your world to create a culture of being paid, right? Because most people are out there creating a culture of doing work. Doing work doesn't invite people to pay you. They're very different things. So the more work that I do, the less money that I make. And I'm talking when I've hired a team, right? So let's say we went, okay, well, so talking about the November last year, November, December, when we booked 100K in revenue. This was booked, not cash. Really important distinction, right? So when we booked 100 grand in revenue, then it was, okay, if that worked, now we're going to repeat, we're going to duplicate, we're going to double down on that. But what we doubled down on was the doing. So I had a whole standard operating process for it. We even added on to it. It was, well, if this works, then it's going to work to even add, and we had a copywriter write emails to email our list. Okay, I'll tell you that when we duplicated the exact tasks that generated 100K, I don't recall what month it was later, 0. Our worst time ever, when on paper it should have worked, and we were paying a lot for support, for team support, for coaching support to follow this process, and none of it worked. So what does that mean, right? So, and I do see, and I think that for some people and our jam is brand messaging. If anybody knows how to create content that's going to generate sales, it's me. And yet the more work I did, the more structures I put in, the worse that it did. So, and it's just a thing. Comment if you've experienced this, if you've seen this sort of thing. Here's something and please drop any questions too. Here's the other piece of that is there are people that sell based on systems, or they're selling their system, and it's almost like you'll buy them for the sense of safety to go, okay, well, this is going to prevent my business from breaking in the future. People make a lot of decisions to prevent their business from breaking. You can't prevent your business from breaking. And the things that you think are going to break your business are going to be different than the things that actually cause it to break. So some of those things you might have inklings, right? Well, if I update my website, and these are like actual examples of people, if I update my website, if I release this thing, I'm going to get more clients than I can handle. And so people won't take the action for the fear, but that's not necessarily true. You can, even if you get an influx of clients, as long as you're transparent and you're communicating with them, your business won't break. And at that point, you can hire support. But this is why it's important to pay attention to what it is that you want and how do you want to grow your business. Because I've yet to see somebody hire based on, these are all things that I see people hiring based on somebody else's advice on this is what you need to hire in your business. I will tell you what I more than likely would hire in our business next. Like, okay, and I have spoken I agree. Structures and systems don't work while experimenting, but also, are you ever done experimenting? I am not sure. Unless you're deciding that this thing is done, cut and dried, you're going to run ads to it. I think there's always experimentation. Even once you're running ads, then your ads are an experimentation because what's working on platforms are always changing. So there is a need for systems, right? Like when I look at the Flex, the funnels, all of those things, we can do those. Those are duplicatable, but those don't generate the revenue. You could sell just the same from a sales page and a DM conversation as any built out structure, as long as you believe it. So when it comes to these systems, if you are running ads and the structures and the shoulds and you must do these things, they might work, but I've yet to see anybody who relies on those or even sells those do exponential or explosive growth, right? So, and there's the flip side of obviously the quick growth. If you look at for us, right, to come out of the gate at 7.5 grand and then to do 40 a little bit later and then to book 100, there's a lot that comes with that, which is also why it feels so much better for me to go, okay, actually, confession, I am talking about life and business here. And I enjoy supporting people through that, especially because the shame part, I think that most of us that become entrepreneurs because we believe that we can do things differently. We believe that by watching other people, we can prevent the mistakes that they've made. But some of these things don't come down to mistakes. Some of these come down to the fact that we're humans doing business with humans. And there are a lot of things that are out of our control. So I will say that explosive growth and maintaining it are two very different things, different skill sets, which I do love to support people on. But they are. The explosive growth is one thing, supporting it is another, which can be why perhaps people that prefer either don't have high revenue goals or are cool with a slower pace of growth. Do the systems, do it all slowly. But most people that are online entrepreneurs are doing it because they want to just crush it. They want to do big things, but they want to do it on their terms. So the non-attachment piece of the magical growth is, and this is something that I have seen, I've seen it just repeatedly. Yes, we need to know our numbers. We need to know what our expenses are. We need to know where gaps are, where we're leaking money, any of those things, right? As far as like, you need to know your numbers. But when it comes to the setting of the goals and the attracting of money, that's best done with non-attachment. At least if you're a solopreneur, if you're out there running some big business, don't know, very different ball of wax, right? But for your average person running a business, yes, you have to set your goals, but the harder you focus on those goals, the harder you put in, you stare at the practical numbers, the more attached you are to the practicality, the less that it works and the less that you enjoy the experience. So how do you lean into the magic of your own business and creating it in a way that works for you? I would say right this second, things that I've been talking with people a lot with is just, what is the next best step? It's just, what's the next best step? Yes, we want to plan ahead. We want to hold the vision for what we would want, but our future vision will change. It's as long as you're taking the next best step one at a time, your greatest vision as your skills and your experiences change, your greatest vision is going to shift as well. So you don't want to hold too tightly to anything. Also, the more fun that you have as you do it, the better it will be. And that comes from ignoring the shoulds and trusting yourself. So, on that note, I'm going to check the comments. I don't have Instagram comments, and I can't tell who's watching, but hello. And then Facebook, I have some. I'm going to peek at them, and then we're going to go bake cookies, and then we are going to do text banking. We're volunteering with a political candidate out here in Arizona, Adrian Fontes, who is preserving democracy, preserving voter rights. So we're going to be text banking, Jonathan and I, for him. And it was funny. They're like, some people might send back, these are fundraising texts. They're like, some people might send back mean replies. I'm like, we work on the internet. We will be good. But I'm excited for that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, shame-based marketing, like the idea that you're a bad person if you're like, no. Or the other one that I think is ineffective is duty-based marketing. It is your duty as an entrepreneur. No, it is not. No, it is not. It's what do you choose? That's projecting of your own values on someone else. That's just dysfunctional. You're like, no, nobody should be telling you what your duty is as an entrepreneur. And here I am with the shoulds. But it's the decision of your business is going to grow the best for you when you are in line with and making decisions based on what works for you and constantly trusting yourself and checking in with that. The second that you abdicate your trust of yourself, the second that you hire somebody else to fix something or to prevent something, you're abdicating your own responsibility. You're weakening your own power, and it weakens your business, which can show up in any number of ways. But yes, being confident in ourselves it's a life changer for your own business. Let me see. I think that is the nicest thing. It says your business is magical. It's based on your God-gifted intuition. Thank you. And yes, we all systems. Yes. So this person says, Kate says she has a system for creating courses, but she knows it's steps that she's no. Yes, we need our own internal systems, our own internal processes. Our own Asana boards for life, or for sanity, or for client experience. But we don't want to over system, over shame, over structure things so as to remove the fun and the magic and be sad with our own businesses. Anyway, send me a message if you watch this. I literally never know who's watching it. Hopefully this has been empowering, inspiring. I don't know. Maybe you can go light some stuff on fire or bake some cookies. Either way, we'll talk to you soon.